Hello there and welcome back to Nobby on Cars. Now, those of you who are regular subscribers will know I've already had a look at the Hyundai Inster in a showroom in Mooney's, but today it's the Irish launch of the car and I'm going to have the car for a full week very soon. So I've noticed on a lot of forums people want to know, one, about the driving experience, but also what's this thing like in a motorway. So we're going to have a look at that in this video, so stay with me if you want to know more about that as a potential buyer or someone who's waiting on your car to be delivered. Just to recap on this particular one, because obviously the one in the showroom was white and things were quite dark. So this is the buttercream, this is elegance trim, this is the current colour combination that you can only get the brighter interior with. But Hyundai Ireland have confirmed this morning that that will change. You will be able to get the brighter interior with whatever colour you like in the not too distant future. So the buttercream, the best way I can describe this, if you've ever seen the Eddie Rocket's secret sauce, that is the colour of this car in the flesh. It probably looks slightly different even on the camera. But do you know what? It really works. It's such a cute, cool looking car anyway, so it holds a bright colour really well. There was also the kind of orange colour at the launch this morning, and that equally looks really, really nice. The thing that's most impressive obviously about this car is the price. So it's €19,000, not for this elegance version, but if you do want the elegance version, you're not jumping massively, because the price then goes up to a whole 21,995 with up to WLTP 360 kilometers of range. This car is a little bit more expensive in the UK. It's normally the way around, but Hyundai Ireland have, I suppose, managed to get a trim that they reckon will keep Irish customers happy, and especially the price wise will keep customers happy. So versus the UK, there are some small differences in that the UK are getting a digital key. We don't have that option currently, and as far as I'm aware, vehicle to load, although will you be able to do something with software to make it work, that will be on UK cars. Again, I've showed you on all this before, but lovely light strip along the back of it, the indicator lights down low. I've demonstrated the boot. If you want to watch all this information, just go, and I'll leave a link at the end of this video to that particular video. I've showed you all the interesting way the floor works out. Interestingly, the parcel shelf has been removed from this car. I've watched a couple of people who've already picked up the car and they've already taken the parcel shelf out because they say it's kind of pointless. We've already gone through the adjustable seat bench, the way you can move both two different independent controllers here. So you can move this forward, give yourself a bigger boot if you need, and obviously the legroom is gone then, but because they're independent you can still have legroom over here. And obviously then if you don't need all the extra space, you have an abundance of rear legroom, which is so impressive. It's really, really cool what they've done with the inside of this car. That kind of retro pattern is also on the roof headlining, and there's a little bit of piping across here. We've got some marks on the center part of the seat. These are obviously very easy to load forward. They go fully flat when you drop these down. So again, it's like the literage inside this car when you drop the rear seats is very, very impressive for what it is. Buttercream version gets this kind of brown steering wheel, which some people may or may not like. Bit more detail now in this pattern on the driver and passenger seats. It's kind of a different texture to this woven feeling. It's good though, it looks nice. Again, for the price of the car, like the quality of those mats is lovely. There's a lushness to them. You know, down here that might feel a bit cheaper, but really you don't look at this car and get cost-cutting vibes off it whatsoever. Armrest, demonstrated that before, a couple of drinks holders, the floating infotainment screen, physical buttons for all the climate, wireless charging place also down here, shortcut to your cameras up here, decent resolution on that. Since filming the last video, people have said you can put attachments onto this, as far as I'm aware, correct me if I'm wrong on that. Door bins are quite small, to be fair. Driver instruments, again, seen it in other more premium Hyundai cars and products, and just the interior is just nicely lifted with this buttercream on the inside and the outside. But I guess some people it's not going to be for everybody, and kind of a flat floor down here as well. So that's just a quick overview of the inside and outside of this launch elegance trim with the buttercream interior and exterior. As promised, I'm going to take it for a quick spin. We'll hit the motorway, but I've got to be back in about an hour. So hit subscribe if you want to know more about the Inster, because I'll be doing some more videos when I have it for a longer test run. And let me know what you think of this buttercream mix. Would you go for it or not? Just little things as well, whether it's the charging speed that is pretty decent for the size of the car, the fact that it has discs all around. Again, just more signs that really it's a budget price car, but you just don't get the budget feeling off it. There's obviously been a lot of talk about the turning circle in this car. It's obviously the first time I've been behind the wheel of the Inster, just using the camera now to maneuver out of a car park that is okay size. Well, it's not particularly small, but yeah, I do get a sense that it's quite a little easy thing to maneuver. Again, just the materials in my hand feel good. Feels like I'm driving an Ioniq 5 or an Ioniq 6. Just a tip as well, in case you're not aware, hold down the volume button for about 3 seconds and the speed monitor beeps will go off. There's another one driving by because we're here at the launch in Ireland of this car. I know a lot of people have been just waiting for this. Dealerships, Hyundai Ireland have been road testing this car, making sure it's ready for launch. And I know that some customers have taken delivery. Not enough customers have obviously taken delivery. I suppose just stay communicating with your dealer and get as much information out of them as you can. It seems to arrive via Cork or Dublin. A lot of people are posting pictures of this car and transporters. Oh, I saw another Bacton coming in. Again, that kind of gives you a sense of how much interest there is in this car. I can't remember, the levels of excitement really from certainly customers who are waiting on one of these compared to anything I've seen in quite a long time. So initial thoughts, we're on a 50 km/h limit now for anyone who knows, at the back roads between sort of Chapelizod and Castleknock. It doesn't feel overly firm. It's not too soft either. There's a bit of feedback coming through the steering. You can see everything around you. Visibility is very, very good, and obviously these are narrow enough roads, but the beauty of this car is it's fitting easily, and I suppose that's one of the obvious things you notice straight away, particularly in what I do. You're driving so many different cars. Some of them are extremely large SUVs, and then you get into something like this and it just fits so beautifully on roads again. The steering is very, very light in it. All the power obviously going through the front wheel. It's not a huge amount of power, but enough. It never feels sluggish. It doesn't feel like you put the foot down and nothing's happening. There's enough of a burst of acceleration going on there. I'm just heading for the motorway now as well, so I know so many people seem very, very interested in what's the wind noise like, what's the fuel efficiency like. Just resetting the trip computer, so hopefully that will it'll be based on not huge amount of mileage, but it should give you an indicator of what it's like at a consistent 100 kilometers. So all the safety stuff, as you can see there, frontal collision avoidance, no blind spot on this trim, which is again the highest trim you can get in Ireland, but reversing camera, frontal collision avoidance, as you saw there. So there's still a good suite of safety stuff on a car, again, that you maybe for the price you mightn't expect to have as much as you're getting. So this bigger battery, it's just under 50 kilowatt hour battery. That will give you a range officially of about 360 kilometers. In higher trims and more expensive Hyundai options, you might see as you turn a corner there, one of the blind spot cameras would come on in your instruments. That's obviously not on board either. A couple of drive modes down here. There is a sport, there's even a snow mode as well. And just to give you where we are on battery, 96% state of charge. The driver monitor there, knowing that I'm looking down and not fully ahead. That's the little infrared sensor down here. So I'm going to leave it in normal mode, and we'll hit the motorway and see how we get on. So currently showing anyway after a kilometre 14.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometres, which is, what are we at now? We're at 7 degrees. It's a cold enough day. No rain, not particularly windy. We're going to get into headwinds and that level of detail on it. Certainly a car that can pick up pace no problem and keep up. I recently drove the Opel Frontera in Spain, and I just thought that car was a little bit sluggish. Obviously a bigger car compared to this, but this feels like it has more than enough power for the size of the car. Nice notification there that the lead vehicle is driving on. I'm sure you've seen that in other Hyundai products. Little bit of body roll there. It doesn't really have a go-kart as such feeling. Those beeps are because the speed limit is changing. Interestingly, it's actually picking up 120 now, even though it's a 100 zone. There seems to be this Bermuda Triangle area between Liffey Valley and Blanchardstown on the M50 in Dublin, if you know, where a lot of cars, or whether it's just the maps information is wrong. It's actually gone back to 100 there. So fully down in the power now. Straight away I'm easing it off because I'm keeping up with the traffic. Let's just set the cruise control. Yes, full radar cruise on this car. Let's put it up to 100. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that at all times, but we'll do our best. Now, after that little burst, joining the M50, we've gone straight up to 22 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Let's overtake this truck, who should really be driving on the left, which, look, we make up the rules as we go along in Ireland. Definitely hearing that A-pillar noise. That truck is quite loud as you go by it. So yeah, that is... Now I've no radio on, obviously, because I'm talking to you, but yeah, that's quite noticeable across the front. Again, is this a car that is going to live on a motorway all the time? I don't know. Feel the lane keep doing its thing. You can turn that off as well. There's less pressure now on the steering. Actually feels nice without that on. You can probably see now we've gone from a 14 kilowatt hour in a built-up city environment to 21. Now it is actually falling there now. I'm going to go as far as I can on the motorway and then turn back around back to where I collected the car from. Cruising now for the guts of 10 kilometers on the motorway, and the consumption has dropped a bit since I last was talking to you, so it's at 17.8 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers at a fairly sustained 100 kilometers an hour. That in theory means that with the larger battery on a decent motorway run, you'll certainly get 200 plus kilometers out of this thing without having to stop. Now again, it is weather dependent on temperatures and all that stuff, but you know, as filming today, I've actually found a stretch as well that is 120, so I'm going to increase the speed up to 120 and see how that changes things. The wind noise is definitely getting louder. The gap for the cruise control, it really goes quite hard on brakes when there's a car approaching. I have it on the closest gap setting. Reasonable increase in noise over the front of the car for sure, but I can't say it feels like any huge way inferior to any other car at 120. It's getting on with it. Looks like we're going to go back to about 18 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Definitely can feel more wind picking up across the nose of the car. Again, for a lot of people this information is just not going to be relevant, but I just noticed some real enthusiasts who are interested in this car commenting on certain things, and I just thought it was worth having a look at one of these things on the motorway and seeing how it behaves. So there we are, 18 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. I'd imagine it's going to settle in and around there, maybe a little bit over the 18, but I don't see that going up to to 20, at least today anyway, and at least at 7 degrees. Nicely tractioned also, pulling away. I'm not getting wheel hop, I'm not getting wheel spin. I'm really going into a corner now with a bit of gusto, and it's handling very well. Brakes are good, there's a nice bite point on it, where in some EVs you don't get that straight away. Pulling away from a stop. Borderline torque steer, nothing too problematic. At the motorway speed again now in that few short seconds. Here comes the rain. Joining motorway, no issue. Keeping up with the cars, no issue at all actually. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun car. Imagine an N in one of these. That could be interesting. We'll probably have to be 4-wheel drive. It's a comfortable little thing, and there is, again, I've looked at forums or people who have bought these and they're quite tall, and they're talking about how much space there is. There is deceiving level of space on the inside of this car when you look at it from the outside. Considering you can buy an entry level one of these for a little bit less than the top extreme version of the Dacia Spring, I think I'd rather this. Having said that, since I last had a quick look at this car, I've driven the new Fiat Panda Grande. You can have a look at that video. I'll leave a link in the description down below if you want to check that out. Prices for Ireland haven't been confirmed for that yet. Nothing to say it will be as affordable as the Inster, but it's another car that will probably make the Spring and the higher price version seem a little bit expensive as well. This is good, very good. Best I saw on this journey today so far, 14 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. We're still, borderline winter/spring, depending on what way you think the world works. And this is only going to get better in terms of summer range, better efficiency, should be easier on the pocket. And, if you were to top this car up, and I'm just doing maths on the fly here, on the bigger battery, let's say we were topping up half of it every night, you would be talking, depending on what rate you're paying, in and around €2.50 to get half the battery charge. So maybe a fiver. I mean, very few EV overnight tariffs have like a 6-hour window. They're generally 2 or 4 maybe, or you've all day free at a weekend. Maybe if you've got one of them. I've actually just dropped my light, pulling away from the lights there. It's somewhere under the seats, but it actually made me realise how much space there is under the floor as well. And I just found a sneaky USB-C charging port at the back for rear passengers. So again, that might be something you'd expect to see at this price point in a car like this. Anyway, on the overnight tariff, so you generally don't get more than a 4-hour window. So, you're not going to get to charge the full battery at that really cheap rate, but they still have different tiers. Like my personal one goes to 17 cent a kilowatt hour after 11 a.m. till 8 a.m. But then from 2 to 4, it's 10 cent. I know there's cheaper ones out there, but it does mean you could potentially charge this battery over a couple of nights for about £6. Hard to argue with that. Last little test before I drop this car back today is just a little bit of handling. So this is a fast enough twisty road. Again, pulling away from the lights is not an issue. The steering feels light. Body roll it's under control. Now, even going into a bend now and a bit of acceleration, a little bit too early, it's still gripping. On full I-pedal now, so there's that's I think the 4th level of, that's very good. Like totally brings the car to a stop. Dare I say it? I'm gonna put my neck on the block here. I'd be very surprised if this car doesn't win a lot of awards around Europe this year. It is a remarkable little car, considering what you pay for this top spec version of it. We just haven't really seen anything like it on the Irish market. I know BYD are coming in, I know there's the Atto 2 on the way, There's something just really likeable about this little car. And then you tell someone the price. It's it's very, very good. I'd be chuffed at myself if I had one on order. Put it that way. Also, as I sit with this plethora of Hyundai Insters, I thought you might like to know that they have just confirmed at the launch location today that they will do a commercial version of the Inster, produced at the factory, so not converted, and it won't be here this year, and they don't know prices yet. I'll assume it'll be cheaper than the 18,995, but there is an Inster van coming, which, if that helps you with your business, with a really cost-effective way of getting around, that could be cool. So there you have it, the new Hyundai Inster. A hugely hyped car. A lot of it I totally get. I think it's so funky, it's so interesting. It's not bad to drive, you just can't get away from the price though. It's so affordable by Irish standards, and for that reason people are going to lap it up, I think. So let me know if you got one on order, how long you're waiting, when your dealer is telling you when it's going to be arriving, and if you're now suddenly convinced that, yeah, I might consider one of them, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you as always for coming with me this far in the video. As I said, a week-long review of living with an Inster coming very, very soon. Talk to you in the next one.